There's a cost to doing the work and there's a cost to staying the same. You have to decide which price you value.
What is up, friends? Welcome to She Blooms podcast. My name is Stacey Danielle. If this is your first time joining in with us, welcome. I am so glad to have you here. And if you are a regular who is constantly joining in, I appreciate you for just trucking with me and continuing to show your support and your love as we are growing this community. Happy New Year's, guys. It has been such a long time since I have done this, and December just took me out. I am not going to sugarcoat it. There's just been so many things, and as I've been having conversations with so many of my friends, I have just noticed that there has just been a plethora of people who have been battling spiritual warfare, specifically in the last season of last year. So we are grateful for another opportunity that God has given us a year to bloom, to grow, to blossom, but more so in a sense, a chance to be able to start over. And as I took some time away in December, I knew that that's what I needed. And while I felt pressure to be here with you guys, to share with you guys, to encourage you guys in so many different ways as you guys are going through your healing journey, I knew that the only way that I can truly be God's vessel is if I am being obedient to Him. And as I was going through the emotions with December, I had this one-on-one encounter with God as I was just feeling the weight of the world against me. I felt so many pressures. There were just so many other things that were happening in my life at that time, and I could feel myself sinking into those like deeper places of depression, of feeling hopeless, of wanting to just give up, of like what am I doing? And I was just putting on this like happy face as if everything was okay. And I know that I often tell you guys that it is okay not to be okay. I think I am still growing in that. I am still learning in that. I am still trying to admit when I am not okay. And I think part of the reason is that I have two beautiful human beings who rely on me. So sometimes I feel that I don't have the space or opportunity to not be okay. I think sometimes I have to suck up my emotions and put on my brave face in order to appease them, in order to be present with them, in order to continue to be the mom that I know I can be. But during those moments where I didn't have any strength, I couldn't muster it, I didn't have any courage, and I was just begging God, like, please, like just heal this from me, like take it away from me. And there has been so many moments of my life where I felt that God has honored that, but He told me no this time. And I'm just like, so are we just sitting in this, or what's happening? And He's like, no, I want you to sit with me in this. And there was just so much beauty in that, right? Because we know that we can't do much without God. We know that He walks and journeys with us. But what happens when He encourages us to sit and own our depression while we're sitting in His presence? And while He didn't heal me when I asked Him to, He gave me an alternative of how do I fully step into these moments of feeling low, feeling overwhelmed, feeling helpless, and just resting with Him. And let me tell you, like, as I spent the last 2 weeks of December fasting, praying, just being present with God, I spent my entire New Year's like in worship, in my Bible, in my word, and I felt my spirit lift like as we were entering the new year. And I think it's because I was obedient in what He was asking me to do. I knew that He was just like, no, I want you to take your mask off. I want you to sit with me right now, and I want you to actually muster up the courage to tell me that you aren't okay. I think often as believers, we get in the routine of feeling like, well, if we're depressed then we lack faith. Or if we are feeling low, then we don't have joy. And I think it's further from the truth. I think sometimes if we paint a picture of constantly having joy and being able to tap into joy without experiencing it for ourselves, or knowing that God just wants to rest with us in that, we will always push him out of the picture. And so sometimes it is important for us to take off our mask. And I think there are just so many things that were just triggering me during that moment, like especially being tired, especially being depressed, especially feeling like I was just like going through the motions of my day-to-day life. I knew I wasn't giving my best to every other areas of my life. So then I was experiencing shame, I was experiencing guilt. And how do you deal with that shame and that guilt when you have this faith in God, but you're just like, right now I don't have much to give, and there are things online that were triggering me, and God is like, this is what I want. this is the stuff that I want, the stuff that we are so easily able to dismiss or push down and pretend like it doesn't exist. That's what I want you to give to me. And so as I was giving to him, you know, my parenting, the fact that like I'm a single mother, which was a big trigger, like this past season was like, I'm doing life alone. I feel pressured. I can't step away from my role of being a mother. So how do I invite the presence of God and just be and sit with my kids and know that that's okay, rather than feeling like we need to go. And so it caused a lot of creativity, but it was more so in a sense also healing that element of me that felt that shame of being a single mother, felt the shame of being divorced. And so I think that's kind of just what I want to talk about in general, as I think, you know, as a single mother, as someone who has an undergraduate degree in psychology, and a master's in social work for a completely different purpose, I knew what the risks were when I left my husband. Like, I knew what the risks were in terms of like splitting up my home. I knew that the odds were stacked against me. And I think one thing I held true was the fact that I knew that I wanted to have a healthy co-parenting relationship. I knew that I never wanted to be in the position to feel like I'm taking my kids away from my ex-husband. I still to this day do not talk bad about him in front of my kids. They don't understand what's happening. I allow them to think that he is the best dad in the world. And like I said, we have a great co-parenting relationship, but that is not my position. We will still have conversations every single time when, you know, we're having disciplinary issues. We're always understanding, and we will sit down our children together and have those conversations. But I felt that there was such a component of me hiding the fact that like I felt alone in parenting, that I felt that guilt and shame. And I think there's just so many narratives of shaming women who are single parents. I think recently there was this huge list that women put out of like, this is not a first date thing. And then men put out this list of like, well, these are the type of women that you don't like, that you don't take on a first date. And I think one of the first ones was single mothers. And those used to be trigger points for me. And it didn't trigger me at that moment, but there was something else that triggered me later on, like a few months later, that had to do with like, you know, being in two different homes and kids and their academics and things like that. And so no woman, right? Like, I didn't ask to be a single mother. Like, I think I made decisions that forced me to be a single mother, right? Like, and I think that's why it's so important to, one, marry right, marry when you're ready, and marry for the right reasons. And because I didn't do that, right? Like, because I didn't have self-awareness, because I didn't have the awareness of myself, I made the decision to enter into a relationship where we eventually had a kid, and then we got married because you just feel like that's the right thing to do, not really exploring who you are. I think I was just starting my healing journey, and unfortunately, I was a completely different person at 20 when I first met my ex. I was a completely different person at 24 when we got married, and I continued to grow in such a different way. But I learned more about myself, and so taking the risk to be a single mother, like I knew that odds were stacked against me, and it's not easy, like specifically dating. And I think people need to be more conscious and aware of the narrative that they're putting out. It's almost like a shame as if you're a single parent. And again, no one asks to be in that position. Sure, there might have been life circumstances, whether, you know, the father walked away, whether you left a toxic relationship, whatever the case might be, there still needs to be a sensitivity of like, how do we actually groom and encourage these women to step up and be present with their kids? Because at the end of the day, the presence that you'll have with your children will forever stack against any odds. And I can truly believe that. Anyone can disagree with me, but it has not been easy being a single parent. Like, I have to constantly make sacrifices, and I think that was a big trigger for me, is that I always have to be the one to make a sacrifice. I'm the one who has to work crazy hours. I don't have any family support here, so it is just me. And so when you're feeling that aloneness of parenting, of just being like, wow, like I'm doing this alone, even though I'm not alone, I have his support. My kids go to him every single week. Like, we have like a consistent schedule. My kids know what the schedule is. There is still the component of like making those sacrifices, and dating isn't easier because you want that closeness and you want that intimacy with people, but then you also realize that like you have people that you have to prioritize, and that's okay. And I think it takes a specific person when you are dating to understand those dynamics and that sensitivity of like, no, like I'm not the type of person, I don't care. There is only one man outside of like my ex-husband who knows my children, like, and I will keep it at that forever. Like, if I have to pass up on dates, if I have to do whatever, like right now, like as a single mother, nothing comes before them. And I know like a lot of women are feeling that pressure of just being like, well, when is it my turn, right? Like, when do I get to take care of me? When do I get to start dating and seeking out love, while I'm also carrying this burden of being in a single parent home, while I'm carrying the responsibility of providing for my children, providing all of the finances, making sure that they have food on the table, by also having a social. And what I have had to do is learn how to create a balance, right? Like, I'll show a picture, and essentially what I do with my kids is I'm also teaching them. Like, I'm teaching them about self-care, and they're doing it with me. Like, and so it's like, it becomes this fun activity. Like, parenting doesn't have to be draining all the time. You can make it fun. You can make it enjoyable. And I think one important thing that I've loved is that I've been able to cultivate a relationship with my children where we enjoy doing the same things. Like, we will have a dance party in the middle of the day or at nighttime, because that's something that like I know that's gonna bring me joy. I know that's something that is in my self-care toolbox, but I'm also doing it with them. I'm doing face masks with them. Like, we're doing spa days at home. We're reading, we're journaling, we're writing, we're talking about feelings, all of these things that I'm doing with my kids that I'm also teaching them. And I think mothers have to understand that it doesn't have to be go, 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 go. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be how do I schedule time for myself, but also be present with my children. When we invite our children into those spaces with us, where they get to learn new skills, where they get to put things in their toolbox, that they have a better success rate of being able to take that and carry that into their adulthood. At the end of the day, we are trying to raise healthy and productive adults who are self-aware, who know when to take a break, who are in touch with their emotions, and are scheduling intentional self-care time. And I know sometimes it feels like forever of like, when is it going to be our turn? When are we going to find the love that we're looking for? And if we are highly focused on that, it is very, very, very easy for the devil to creep in and feed you with doubt, feeling like you're not good enough, you're never going to find anybody, this is going to be your life for the rest of your life, you're damaged goods. And I felt that internal battle that was happening. And we just need to like get in the habit of shaming the devil, like rebuke that spirit that he is trying to speak over your life. At the end of the day, God has the final say. So even if your ministry looks a little different right now in terms of serving your family, that is perfectly fine. God is going to honor you and bless you in that. And as I was studying, and I'm going to read this with you guys because this was something that really encouraged me, as I was just like, I don't feel like I have enough time in the day. I don't know how I'm balancing working. I don't know how I'm balancing being a mom on top of all my other responsibilities. And I was brought to this in my study Bible, which was like so encouraging to me as I was able to reflect of like the time that I get to spend with my kids is more important than any dollar that I'll ever make. And I hope that you single mothers will understand that sometimes the no's that we have to give others is what blesses our family. It is what sets our families apart. It is what allows us to pour into the next generation. So I'm going to read this with you guys. To be consistent in your priorities, consider these admonitions. Assign God first place. Consult with the Father regularly in your quiet time. Examine your own heart and keep yourself spiritually fit. Note also these cautions. Put people before things. Do not limit your investment in those you love and others who cross your path to money and gifts. Look for ways to invest yourself, your time, and your energies. Family must be more important than occupation, since scripture clearly states that there is no success if the family is lost. Sometimes you must say no, as did even Jesus when some seemingly good requests for his time did not fit the overall plan for his ministry. The underlying principle in determining priorities is always that spiritual values must overshadow worldly pursuits. And that word encouraged me so much as I was like speaking with my friends. I literally I have a master's degree. I have a master's degree. I'm licensed, and I have been on so many job interviews. Right now I'm working overnight, and girl, I am tired. And I have been applying to so many jobs, and I've been doing so many interviews, and every single one I've had to say no. And it pressured me, and it has been taking me back, and I'm just like, why am I having to make all of these crazy sacrifices? And I know that's not everybody's reality. I know that a lot of people will work a 9 to 5 and have their kids go to a daycare after school. That is just not me. And in order for me to be authentic in that, and all of my friends know this, everybody knows that there is nothing that comes before my children. I will constantly say no in order for me to preserve that relationship that I have with them, because that had always been the most important thing for me, is that they see me at the end of their school day, that they don't spend another 2 to 3 hours at a daycare program, and then it's coming home and rushing. It's no, our time after school has always been paramount, especially because they're gone 6 hours of the day. So it's I get to pick them up. I get to have that conversation with them about school. I get to like prepare dinner for them. We get to have slow evenings, and that had always been important to me. So because that has been important to me, I've had to say no. Like I've had to tell jobs, no, I'm sorry, like I can't do that. Like, or have asked them like, hey, are you willing to be flexible? Because I have always worked in roles where I have asked for flexibility, and there have been tons of my entire career, I've had a lot of employers who have been extremely flexible with me. And I think this season is just right now where there has been a lot of things that I've been having to say no to. And as I've been feeling burdened in my no, with this specific like reminder, I was elated to understand that my no serves a bigger purpose, that my no means that I can continue to pour in my family. My no means that I get to continue to live in my truth of what I will and will not do. My no means that my kids get more of me and not less of me, and that they know that they are more important than any dollar amount that I could ever have. And so I want to encourage all of the moms out there that even if you're saying no right now, just know that your yes is right around the corner, that God is walking with you. He is honoring you as you are honoring your children. I hope you got something out of this. I look forward to seeing you watching this week's episode of the She Blooms podcast. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you're alerted when we post a new video.